14,099. The meaning of 1 matching 100 to 2. Question. I understand that one person is connected to 100 through the 3:7 ratio of the trunk and branches of a tree. However, if I complete my life and die, does that mean 100 people in humanity die together and even all their ancestors are connected? I would like to hear your teachings as I feel this expands further.
There are tree branches and a tree trunk, and we are the roots. The people grown from the roots are the heavenly descendants, Cheonsun. Now there is the tree trunk, and there are the tree branches. And the tree trunk here corresponds to the Sinosphere Yonghua. But look carefully, China is currently developing technology immensely, yet Chinese people, the people of the Sinosphere, are structurally unable to develop technology on their own. Then what about those technologies they currently use that are catching up with us? They are stolen. I am stating this accurately, whether anyone throws a spear at me or not. This is how the operational principles of nature work. A trunk in an old tree cannot produce anything new. Tree branches produce new things. That is primary production. So where is the production and activity of the branches connected? It is connected to the tree roots. Even when photosynthesizing and transforming energy at the branches, this energy flows down to connect with the roots into the core marrow. Everything is connected to the roots, but on its way to the roots, it passes through the tree trunk. They intercept, steal, and use it. Japan is also part of the Sinosphere Yonghua. Japan is also a tree trunk. It is not the roots. This tree trunk is where communities coming from the south and the north live. Where is Japan? It is a place that serves as a breakwater in the Pacific. Whose land was that originally? It was Joseon land. Originally, it was land attached to the Korean peninsula. In a certain era, the earth moves. Even now, the earth is moving. It moves very minutely, and if you aggregate it over a year, it shows. But there was a time when the tectonic plates shifted with force and pushed it over there. That is the present Japanese archipelago, a breakwater crafted by nature. Then to protect, where was this breakwater made? It was made to protect these roots. But at that time, we walked around in straw shoes, rode horses, and crossing the water on horseback was difficult. Thus, because we were unable to manage it, other people came and lived there. So as they were left to populate the area in large numbers, they formed a state. And the nation known as Japan today has been formed for only a little over 1,000 years. That is not a true historical nation. It is a community of residents living together. But if I speak like this, Japanese people might dislike me. Still, they must know this so that Japan can find what it should do in the future correctly. They shouldn't continuously hold on to superiority and call us Chosen Jin. Calling people Chosen Jin just because they wore straw shoes won't do. That is how it became. However, what Japan uses in society today is our philosophy. Japan relies on Toegye philosophy as its spiritual foundation to live. It is a place that took spiritual culture from Korea to live by. That is why, although Japan's role will be organized in the future, Japan can have a future only if it holds hands with South Korea and lives together with South Korea. If Japan looks down on South Korea from now on, an era will come where they cannot survive even if they try. It will come soon. Now, the geopolitical and operational landscape of humanity is changing. Because the 30% future operates under a changed environment, this is the turning point taking place right now. Therefore, originally, nothing is produced in the Sinosphere Yonghua. What does the Sinosphere produce? When a tree stops growing and dies, mushrooms grow on it. In that manner, it expresses nutrients outward. Then we can pick and eat the mushrooms. However, on the inside, it carries energy sent up from the roots and functions to transmit what was achieved at the tree branches down to the roots. Right now, because an enormous amount of energy is moving, they intercept it mid-transit, steal it all, and make it their own. That is the trunk body of the Sinosphere today. So that cannot last long. This person looks at the operational laws of nature and sees what you are currently doing. China has stolen for so long and wants to claim everything as its own, so China claims all of this belongs to them. They claim everything that happened in Gojoseon belongs to China. Everything in the northeast 3 provinces belongs to them because they cannot produce on their own. They keep trying to appropriate others' heritage. It is good for us to understand why that habit exists. The tree trunk has a large body. So they tell people from this side to come work over here and steal all that technology. They tell people from that side to do something over there and steal everything. That is how Chinese society currently operates. But if China acts like that too excessively, what the tree trunk is doing becomes obvious quickly. That is why it is getting disciplined now. If you steal a mass of this size, steal only a small portion and you will be spared. Why? Because the trunk is necessary. Nature will never completely destroy China, so now the organizations that steal are being struck down because stealing became a habit for those organizations, leading them to set up global branches to steal. People are cutting them off. The United States stepped forward to say, let's handle this together. They steal your things too, and that is the story of alliances. Let's cut off this theft. However, they will never ruin China completely. They are saying, reduce what you are doing. Do not try to conquer the world. You are the tree trunk. A trunk can never conquer the world by nature. Because such principles are hidden, China only needs to receive and use what passes through in transit. They can use it, but global prosperity, in Ryugongyong, means bringing benefit to the tree branches. That is the West. Raising energy that helps the tree branches requires a new paradigm energy, and the world is currently waiting immensely to acquire a new paradigm. We think becoming a technological powerhouse and giving that is the energy, but it is not. Now, we must spark a new culture and provide that as energy. Then, because it is exposed to nature, receiving this energy will naturally allow photosynthesis to happen, and world peace will arise naturally. Thus, creating this new paradigm culture in the future is the work of the roots, the work of the heavenly descendants Cheonsen, and the work that we must do. That's how it is. So you don't need to worry about China. They steal Western things recklessly, but no matter how much they try to steal root things, the roots are not exposed, so they cannot steal much. To let them live by stealing a little, we must give some knowingly. Still, the roots will never be damaged, so there is no need to worry too much. We, the roots where the heavenly descendants live, must become great people day in, who embrace everything, not narrow-minded people, so in Bay. From now on, the more narrow-minded we become, the harder and more painful our lives will be. We must become great people, absorbing everything, and helping wherever helpful. That is contributing to global prosperity. We must contribute to global prosperity. Now is not the time to look after only our own children, but to unite our strength and contribute to global prosperity. Find such projects. That is how it goes.
Question. Clarification on 1 to 100 death connection. Question. I would appreciate it if you could speak one more thing about 1 matching 100. It seems you haven't mentioned it yet. If one South Korean person is connected to 100 people in humanity, please give us your exact teachings on whether those 100 people also experience the same when we die.
Look, when our population reached 70 million, did humanity reach 10 billion? When we reached 70 million, humanity reached 7 billion. Hasn't nature already spoken through this? When nature created 30 million of us and left 3 billion in humanity, nature handled it naturally on its own. So if we become overly greedy, what did we do in the past to have fewer children? Short of castrating men, we did that, right? By doing so, we made fewer babies be born. Why? If you just keep having babies, you are animals. You must birth an appropriate number. After we did that, later on, even that massive population of 1.3 billion over there was forcefully constrained through the one-child policy. All of this shows how nature operates as one. Whatever happens at the roots reflects in the environment over there. These are things we should have researched over several decades, but because we failed to do so, suddenly, this person appeared and started speaking, leading to repeated questions. I will unpack all of these one by one, so we cannot unpack everything today on the spot. There isn't enough time. Therefore, as I unpack a little, experts can come and ask again if they don't understand, and we must continue unpacking. Unpacking this is to help our descendants live properly, not to resolve all of my immediate curiosities. Nature operates without even a 0.1 millimeters error, and because I have basically unpacked things based on that population ratio, you can take that understanding with you.